So this is a timeline of the universe. Yes, dude. Based on over a century of cosmic observations and progress in physics, that is what we've been able to piece together about how the universe itself grew up. Pretty amazing, right? Yeah, but I guess I don't really get it. So the universe as we know it started here with the Big Bang, but stars and galaxies didn't exist until here, I guess? So what's going on here? Why is it just blank? Oh, that. Yeah, I mean, the entire universe was just pitch black for something like 100 million years. What? Yeah, man. The brightest event in the history of everything was pretty much directly followed by the darkest. The so-called cosmic dark ages. What made that happen? Nothing. Literally nothing. The total absence of anything that shined in the early universe was the reason it went dark. See, the universe didn't just start out with objects that emitted light, stars and galaxies. No, those things came into existence very gradually. In fact, not a single star could even begin to form until the universe itself had cooled down enough to allow for the existence of the stuff that stars form from, hydrogen and helium gas. See, the entire universe was just so blazingly hot in its infancy that it actually resembled the inside of a star. It was opaque, glowing due to its own heat, and full of plasma, free electrons and atomic nuclei unable to combine into atoms. Temperatures were so extreme that not even the simplest of elements could form, let alone any kind of coherent cosmic structure. So what changed? Well, thankfully, ever since it began, our universe has been expanding, and as a result, cooling down. And only after about 400,000 years of continued expansion did conditions within the cosmos become cool enough for atoms to finally form. And so the building blocks of stars were now present. But the process of making those first stars was a really slow one. See, at that time, the distribution of matter throughout the universe was almost perfectly uniform, but there were regions that had just a tiny bit more matter than others. It was these overdense regions which ever so slowly gravitated more and more matter from the slightly less dense regions which surrounded them, doing so until they accumulated enough mass for the gravitational collapse of the first stars to begin. But that all took quite a while. Our current understanding suggests that the gap between the initial formation of atoms and the birth of the first star was around a 100 million year span of time. For longer than we can even comprehend. The universe was no longer hot enough to glow, and it existed without a single source of light. And then the lights finally came on, huh? The first stars ignited and lit up the cosmos. That's actually really beautiful to think about. It is, yeah. Except it wasn't quite that simple. See, even after the first stars turned on, the universe actually remained dark. What? How?